Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Transfer Talk show on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzy, and I'm your host for today's show. Today's show is dedicated to transfer rumours related to Liverpool, and there's quite a bit to discuss. The club seem to be willing to sell a lot of young players, which will hopefully help generate some extra funds. But will it be reinvested in the squad? That remains to be seen. So let's discuss the latest rumours that are circulating the net, and we'll start off with some official news, and that is Fabio Carvalho signing for Brentford in a £28 million deal. Firstly, that's a great deal from a business point of view. We'll receive 20 million up front, and the remaining 8 million will be in add-ons. This is why Michael Edwards has been brought back to the club. He's an expert in getting the best deals for fringe players, and this is no different here. Now, no disrespect to Carvalho, but it was always going to be a difficult task for him to break into the first team. We don't normally play with a traditional number 10, so stylistically, he's not the best fit for Liverpool, but he's now joining a decent Premier League side with a good manager in Thomas Frank. He normally plays a 4-2-3-1 formation, so that could give Carvalho the opportunity to break into the team and make that number 10 position his own. He's joining the West London side after a good preseason, so he should be fit and ready to hit the ground running for the Bees. So I think it's a good move for all parties, and I wish Fabio Carvalho all the best at his new club. Now, just before I started the stream, we got some breaking news that a deal has been agreed with Red Bull Salzburg. The transfer fee is around £10 million with a 17.5 sell-on clause. So obviously future-proofing some investment there. I'm surprised he's been sold permanently, but like Carvalho, it would have been a difficult task for him to also break into the first team. Bobby Clark will be managed by a familiar face in Pep Linders, so he'll be in the safe hands with a coach that understands his game and also knows the potential that he possesses. So for me, it's a good deal for Liverpool. Another 10 million in the kitty. From a player's point of view, I think it's a good move for him to play abroad, further his development, and I'm sure we'll probably see him returning to the Premier League in some shape or form in the future. Now, this rumor surprises me as Doak has been linked with a loan move back to Scotland and in particular Celtic. But the club have not ruled out a permanent move if they receive a suitable offer. Personally, I'm not too sure about that, as I think Doak has great potential to become a first team player at Liverpool Football Club. Whenever he's played, he's looked very impressive to me. So I'm quite surprised that the club are open to part ways with the young player. If it was my choice, I would keep him in the squad as our 6/7th choice attacker. Uh, and the reason being, I don't see the club signing another attacker this window. So we're better off keeping him for squad depth rather than weakening the squad, in my opinion. So for some reason, if we end up signing another attacker, then this move makes more sense in terms of sending him out on loan. So let's see what happens in the coming weeks. But as it stands, I don't think it's a good move for Doak to leave Liverpool Football Club. I think he's better suited to remain in the squad. But if he goes out on loan, that is also understandable. But a permanent deal, I wouldn't do it in this window. But that's just my opinion in regards to Doak. Now, Stefan Bajcetic has been linked with a loan move away from the club. And one of the clubs that have been named or showing some interest in the player is Spanish side Real Sociedad. Now, they must be having a laugh thinking they're going to sign a player from Liverpool after they've just mugged us off in that Zubimendi deal, so they can jog on. Even if we ended up signing Zubimendi, I still wouldn't have sent Bajcetic out on loan. I think Bajcetic should stay at the club as we don't have a lot of numbers when it comes to number 6 players in our squad. I like the Doak rumour. If Liverpool were to sign one or two midfielders, then loaning Bajcetic out would make sense in terms of his development. Otherwise, he needs to stay put as he'll be an important squad member for us, playing at number 6 role. I know he's been injured for most of the last 12 months, but it looks like he's fit and ready to go in this season. So I would say keep him in the squad. And if he needs a loan move in the January window, that could be the moment. But right now, we need as many players as possible in the squad, because in terms of numbers, it's slightly less than what we had last year. So I think Bajcetic should stay. But let's see how the story commences. Now, this rumor has been circling for a couple of weeks now, but it looks like PSV are walking away from the deal, as they made a £10 million offer, which we got rejected by Liverpool. And Liverpool are very adamant that they will receive £20 million for the defender, which doesn't bode very well for him. And he's expressed his frustration to the media quite a few times. So it's not looking good for Vandenberg at the moment. I think he will be sold, but at the same time, I think Liverpool will try and hold out for as much as possible. He might not be sold in this window. I can see him being sold in January, but whether his value maintains by that time is to be seen. But let's see. I think the club will probably have to lower the expectations. They're asking for 20 million. I think if they receive an offer around 12 to 15, that should be enough to prize him away. There is a lot of interest in the player, but those clubs are not willing to pay that kind of money for the defender. So let's see how it goes. Still got a few weeks remaining of the transfer window. Now, Martin Zubimendi, the main topic amongst us Liverpool fans the last few days. I did a 3-hour show last night on this player, so I'll keep it brief in terms of my opinion of this whole story. To say bluntly, Liverpool have dropped the ball in this one. Many fans are pointing the finger at FSG. I can't say for sure if FSG is at fault, but what I can say is the responsibility goes to the sporting director to negotiate the deal, and that person is Richard Hughes. So for me, he's messed up the deal. He was the one haggling on a fee when the player had a release clause, which is an absolute joke. The player seemed to have agreed on the move and was excited about this new challenge, but Real Sociedad put some pressure on him to stay. He unfortunately folded and ended up making a U-turn. Now, I understand it's his boyhood club, but that was a very childlike move. You can't say yes to a club agreeing to a move and then in the space of days go back on your words. To make it worse for Zubimendi, he was actually promised a new contract with improved terms that would have matched Liverpool's salary offer, which would have been the 3 times what he's currently earning at the club. But the update that I've heard from sources in social media today is that Real Sociedad are unable to stick to their promise, and they are unable to offer him better terms on his contract. So now Zubimendi looks like a plum. Some fans are just suggesting that this could be our opportunity to get back in and try to sign him. Now, what do I think of that? He can jog on as well. I'm not interested in a player who doesn't really want to play for the club. Now, Ornstein is saying that we're not going to target another number 6. For me, I think that's nonsense. I think it's a PR move to make sure the clubs that are holding these players that we're interested in don't bump up their prices, as it's public knowledge now that we are in the market for a defensive midfielder. So Richard Hughes has a lot of makeup to do, and he's just walked through the door. And as of yet, I'm not impressed with what he's done. Hasn't signed a single player with the only Premier League team that haven't recruited. But I'll give him the benefit of that, as we still have 17 days left of the window. So let's see what he can do in the meantime. Now, this midfielder has been linked with a move to Liverpool. The Dutch international Joey Veerman, who plays for PSV and also participates for the Netherlands in the Euros, is an interesting profile. He is a defensive midfielder, has good passing rates and decent in terms of his all-round game. However, if he was the alternative to Zubimendi, for me, it would be a slightly underwhelming signing. If he was one of 2 midfielders that were joining the club, then that makes a bit more sense. But I feel like because there's been such emphasis on us getting a number 6, if he's the guy that walks through into the door, I don't think he'll deliver, or he'll be the guy that we think will revolutionize our team. So decent player. I like his style of play. Can play the DM, centre mid, even as a number 10. Very good on the ball, good passing range. But for me, I'm expecting Liverpool to go a level up in terms of recruitment. So let's see. As it stands, no strong rumours on this one, but it's definitely one I thought I'd mention today. Hincapie, a player that we have been linked with for about 12 months now. The Bayer Leverkusen player has voiced his, not concerns, but he's basically said out loud that he would be open to a new challenge and would be ready to make a move away from the Bundesliga side, which is slightly surprising considering, he's just come off winning a treble for his German club, and he played a big part in it. He played in different roles, probably in unfamiliar territory for him. Normally a centre back, he played left back at times, also played as a left wing back where he was bombing down that left flank, providing crosses. So not his game, but he showed he has the capability. And that's probably due to his nature of playing the very aggressive player, offensively and defensively. So I feel like he would fit to our model very, very well. Apparently, and I don't know if this transfer fee is correct, but he's available for around 40 million. Now, if that's true, that's a great fee, especially in this day and age. However, his agent, from what I know, is the same agent of Moses Caicedo. And you know the drama that we had with his agent last year. So it's a bit of a sticky one to negotiate a deal with his agent due to how things unfolded last summer. But in terms of the profile and the player, I think he'd be a fantastic addition to our squad. I think he'd slot in at left back alongside Van Dijk, and if required, can cover Van Dijk during the season, where I think Van Dijk will need to be rotated throughout certain games, especially as we're playing so many different competitions. So he would be a great addition to the squad. Whether we place a bid remains to be seen, but this is a good profile. I think he'd be a great addition to our team. Another player that we've been linked to, probably an unfamiliar name to some of us, is Julius Soler. So he is an exciting left back from Lanús. He recently played for Argentina in the Olympics, who actually managed by a former Red in Mascherano. But the former Red didn't treat the left back with a lot of respect, unfortunately. Soler was fantastic in the opening 3 games of the Olympics, but Mascherano dropped him in the quarterfinals against France. He eventually came off the bench and played 30 minutes of that game, but then he was substituted for a striker, which was quite embarrassing considering you were a sub and then now you've been substituted again. Soler was in tears and had to be consoled by the players on the bench. So not nice moment for the youngster, but he was definitely a standout player in the Olympics, and I'm intrigued to see if this deal can be done. The transfer fee that's been rumoured is around £13 million, and this is the type of signings that I want Liverpool to make. Low investment with the possibility of high rewards, as Soler is regarded as one of the hottest prospects in Argentinian football. Apparently, the club sees him as a long-term replacement for Robertson. So let's see if there's any truth to the rumour. This is the type of profile I feel like the club should be pursuing in the short term and long term. But let's see if there's anything that comes from this story. Got some breaking news today, not completely official, but some highly regarded journalists have confirmed that Liverpool have agreed or are set to agree a deal with Valencia for Georgian goalkeeper Mamardashvili. He had a fantastic Euros, as I'm sure we're all aware, and looks a good goalkeeper. The rumoured fee is around 30 million plus 10 million in add-ons. And the rumour is that he'll be loaned out to Bournemouth for a season and then officially join Liverpool next season. So in terms of the player, interesting profile, tall goalkeeper, really good in terms of aerial challenges, good shot stopper. So he fits the bill in terms of being a good goalkeeper. And I think he's one of those up and coming goalkeepers in world football. So it's a smart deal from Liverpool, future-proofing the goalkeeping department, and with the eye of hopefully Mamardashvili becoming Alisson's long-term successor. So I think it's a good bit of business. However, as good as the business as it is, we need to sign players for right now. There are other areas of the pitch that need to be addressed in this window. So it's all good and well making investments for the future. We need investment for the present, and it needs to be done very quickly. So let's see what happens in the coming weeks. Now, this rumor doesn't seem to fade away. It's Anthony Gordon being linked with a move to Liverpool once again. Now, there was some news which I'll touch on a bit later on in the show with regards to Luis Diaz possibly leaving the club. Some fans were, I wouldn't say pleased probably a strong word, but they went against the idea of Luis Diaz leaving the club and bringing in Anthony Gordon as his replacement. Now, I'm not on the Gordon train right now. I think he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's on the same level as Luis Diaz. And maybe because he's Scouser and, you know, he's a boyhood red, that's appealing to the fan base right now. But I don't think that's good enough for us to just go all crazy and say, you know what, this is the guy to take us forward. I read on social media someone comparing him to McManaman, which is outrageous. Now, if you watch McManaman back in the day, you'd know it's they're levels away from each other. So good player, but it's gonna cost an arm and a leg. And I don't feel like selling Diaz and signing Gordon is the same level. It's not, in my opinion. I think he's a good player, but he still lacks end product. And yeah, I'm not for it, in my opinion. If he joins the club, obviously he'll get my support. But as of yet, I would like Luis Diaz to stay at the club. And we've got Gakpo for that left wing position. So it's not an area we need strengthening right now. There's other areas in the team, as I mentioned before, that need to be addressed. And left wing is not the position that needs to be addressed right now. Now, this rumor came out yesterday for the Brazilian midfielder and Newcastle midfielder, of course, Bruno Guimaraes. As a profile, he'd be a fantastic addition to the squad. But let's be honest, there's no truth to this rumor. He would cost an arm and leg a lot more than Anthony Gordon. So for me, it's all paper talk and not a realistic target for Liverpool, unfortunately. And swiftly moving on, like as with this deal, I don't think there's any truth to this story either. The rumor was that Barcelona would be interested in doing a swap deal with Luis Diaz heading the other way to the Nou Camp. Yeah, it's not a realistic option. De Jong apparently earns around 700k a week, which is like covering 2 Mohamed Salah salaries per week, which, you know, it's not going to happen. But the reason he's got such a high salary is because he's owed money from his previous contract. So they weren't able to come up to a large sum of compensation. So they're trying to add it on to his weekly salary to make up for the numbers. But yeah, in terms of if you're earning that kind of money, you'd have to take a massive pay cut to move to another club. And he probably doesn't need to do that at this stage of his career. Plus, he's currently injured and he's a very injury-prone player. So as talented as he is, for me, it's not a realistic target. And I don't think it's a realistic option for the club either. Final room of the show, Luis Diaz. I touched on this earlier on. So bizarrely, I'm not sure who the report was now, I've forgotten his name. And it was a Spanish report, suggested that Liverpool have agreed a deal with Man City for the departure of Luis Diaz for £70 million. That makes no sense whatsoever. Why on earth would we sell a player to our biggest rival? And a player like Luis Diaz who can make the difference as well. Yeah, it's complete nonsense. When I heard it, I just couldn't believe what I was reading. It's clearly clickbait and it's clearly, you know, some extra clout for that journalist. But the surprising thing was fans were kind of on board with it. Some fans weren't happy that he was going, or he was rumored to be moving to a club like Man City, who are our rivals. But they were content with the idea that Luis Diaz will leave the club. Now, I'm not going to go off by one appearance, but the way he played against Sevilla gave me some confidence that maybe this could be the season where Luis Diaz can really hit the ground running and improve on his GNA, because that's the area of his game where he's not consistent. He's not clinical in front of goal. And I feel like that is something that we've seen traits of it. He has in his locker, but he needs to do it on a regular basis. So maybe this is a season where he's able to flourish and unleash his unbelievable talent, because let's be honest, he's a very talented player. And when he's on form, he is unstoppable. So for me, selling Luis Diaz is not an option. Barcelona don't seem to have the finance to muster the move. Man City do, but I think it'd be a ridiculous decision to sell him to our biggest rivals. So yeah, I'm not buying the rumor. I think it's already been dismissed from Man City's side, and I don't think Liverpool bothered commenting on it anyway. So thankfully, this rumor can go to bed. But the reaction of some of the Liverpool fans really surprised me, that they wouldn't be against him leaving the club. For me, if he went to Man City, that calls for a riot or a protest, because that is not acceptable. But maybe I have a different opinion of Luis Diaz. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Would you have accepted that offer, or do you think selling Luis Diaz is actually worthwhile and could benefit the team? Love to hear your thoughts. Just going to go through the comments before I end the show. Got a comment here from Richard. Big up Richard as always. He says, "Hi Ozzy, assalamu alaikum." Alaikum assalam to you as well, Richard. How are you? All good, thank you, Richard. Hope you are well as well. He said, "FSG have no ambition, cheapskates, tight, and want to take money from the club. You'll never walk alone. Many thanks." Couldn't agree more, Richard. They're a money-making machine. That's what they are. They're owners that have never shown ambition, and you can tell by the way they manage the club. So yeah, disappointing to see, but hey, unfortunately, they're still our owners for now. And then we should also say clubs below Liverpool are spending more money than us. Fabio, Carvalho, and Bobby Clark should have an opportunity, but good luck to both of them. Yeah, I agree. I think definitely in terms of club spending, you've got our opponents this weekend, Ipswich. They've bought players, they've spent money as well. So we're only a club that hasn't signed a player, which is an absolute joke. In terms of Fabio Carvalho and Bobby Clark going, the Carvalho one, I think the writing was on the wall. Even though he had a good preseason, I just don't think he fit into the style of play. Under Arnstad, he would have probably been occupying that left wing role, and that's not a role I think he wants to play. He prefers to play in a more central role. So I think it's a good deal for all parties. The Bobby Clark one, I thought he would have gone out on loan, to be honest with you. But a permanent move seems to be on the cards. We've got a sell-on clause. I think we also have first refusal if they wanted to sell him in the future. So maybe it's a good move for him. We get money from him right now, which we can reinvest in the squad. And if we want to purchase him in the future, we have the option. No, it doesn't happen, but I think it's just the future, to protect the assets. And hopefully if he blossoms and hits the ground running there and makes a name for himself, then we have the option to sign him. So I wish them all the best as well. Two talented young players, but it's good to see players moving on and furthering their career as well. There's no point in just being squad players, especially when you know the pathway to the first team is quite restricted. So go out there, play your football. You never know. Monday we'll see in the Premier League. One day you might even return to Liverpool. So especially Bobby Clark with the clauses inserted in his contract. So you never know. But yeah, I wish them all the best. Richard said we are definitely a sell to buy club. FSG don't want to buy with their own money. Tight cheapskates. I just want to win trophies and challenge Man City for EPL. Yeah. The thing is, a lot of fans would say that we were sell to buy, but we've gone away from that route. But right now, it looks like we're back to that motion again. So yeah, let's see what business we do in the end, because we've got 20 million for Carvalho, we've got 10 for Bobby Clark. I'm sure there'll be other funds made from other sales as well. So we're piling up the money, but are we spending it? Doesn't look like it. So let's see. I'll keep my opinion in terms of transfers until the latter stage of this month, because right now my mind is saying one thing, my heart is saying another. I don't think we'll sign players, but I'm hoping we do. That's just how I feel right now. Richard says Richard Hughes is a fraud and a fake. Why did FSG bring him to the club? It's because they appointed Michael Edwards and he brought his best power to the club. So that's what it looks like to me. He brought his best mate to the club. he brought Julian Ward as well. So he brought the band back in regards to that. And yeah, at the minute, yeah, he's not doing a great job. So let's see. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But right now, it doesn't look like Liverpool making any moves right now. Which also say we need to buy a diamond in the dirt little club. Your big club wants so the price is right and high wages. That's why I mentioned that player, Julius Soler, earlier on. He's a left back from Argentina. He'd cost around £13 million. A player that's very highly regarded in South America. That's the kind of player we should be signing, where you bring them to England. Doesn't need to be under huge pressure to make an impact because we've already got left backs in the squad. And he's already regarded as a long-term successor to Robertson. So that's the kind of signs we need to make. When you bring them on to the club, they learn their trade with elite players in the squad that are still, currently here. And then once they're ready for the first team. So, yeah, it's a bulletproof kind of concept. Will FSG do it? Who knows? Let's see how it goes. But as of yet, not really positive when it comes to the transfer fund, but hopefully I'll be proven wrong. And hopefully next week we'll get some further updates. But that is the end of the show. Thank you to Richard for your comments as always. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. In terms of upcoming content, we'll be doing our first match preview of the season with Ipswich Town versus Liverpool. So join me tomorrow. Should be around 10 p.m. But what I'll do is I'll confirm on my social media. And also hit that notification bell. You'll know what time the stream will be going live. And also follow me at Aussie.ftp on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And yeah, that is it for today, guys. So thank you for tuning in. Just got a quick comment here from Richard. It says no more 3-hour streams. Not as of yet, unless Richard Hughes does another blunder and I need to have a bit of a rant, then yeah, we might do another 3-hour show. But yeah, you never know. We might do one towards the end of the transfer window. Hopefully we sign players, so I'm in good spirits and we end up doing a good big show there. Or who knows? We'll see what the season holds. But that is it for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to see you all very soon. Goodbye.